I'm curious. It kind of makes me think of, okay, there's the nice guy. There's the what beta bitch.
Yeah, yep.
I love the
Soy
alliteration.
boy. Some people
Soy
say
boy.
that. Yep.
Masculine man.
Yep.
And I kind of want to touch on, I have here down the good enough man.
Yes.
Because you mentioned it, like I first gained, I guess, insight into your work and like who you are whenever you were a guest, like mastermind leader in Leola's Pleasure Priestess group. And I was like, oh, I love, like, what is this? I'm like, give me more. But you mentioned a concept of like the good enough man. And I was like, tell me more. Cause I think that there's a little bit of, like, am I holding out for this box to be checked? This. So I'll just let you riff on that a little bit.
Yeah. I love this topic right now. It's something I'm just encountering a lot. Well, I'll start here. So I think it's important for both men and women to get very practical with deal makers and deal breakers.
Yeah.
And so it's, okay, here's my red flag deal breakers. If this is present, I've outsourced I don't want to get hijacked by intense feelings. She's gorgeous. I feel incredible in her presence. I'm so attracted to her. But there's this red flag, but I can overlook that because there's so many of these other things. So and writing that shit down and sharing it with people you care about to remind you, I think is really important.
What are some examples of some like red flags or deal breakers, maybe on both ends?
Yeah.
Yeah. Cause I was like pondering this the other day. I was like, I'm going to get real clear. I'm like, okay, I value this. And I'm like, what are my deal breakers or okay. All right. I'm like, available is definitely a deal. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's some that are very clear and others that are not so clear.
Okay.
And so I'll do examples of both.
Yeah.
A classic example is smoking.
Oh.
So it was, for me, my mom smoked my whole life, and it was very clear to me, I don't want to be with someone who smokes cigarettes specifically. And it's nothing overtly against people that smoke cigarettes, but what that represents to me and what I want out of a relationship and out of a partner, that's not part of the equation. And something, even taking that a step further, and I think this is very important in the context of this conversation, if they want to quit smoking or they're trying to quit smoking, it's like, but you're smoking. So if it's meant to be, I'll revisit this when you've quit smoking and you've not smoked for a long time. And these aren't hard and fast again.
Some wind under your wings.
Yeah, exactly. It's like, okay, because I'm not committing to someone or going into a relationship with the expectation that they're going to change. That's so important.
So key.
I'm not riding this idea of potential.
Yeah.
And that's okay to be excited about that and to want to change and grow and recognizing potential, but like, that's not what I'm putting my bets on.
Yeah.
And so that's one example. Here's one that's on the flip side. When I was preparing for my partner, I recognized it was really important that she had women friends. And that was something that she had a community of women that I respected, that she loved, and that were just good women for her to be around. And because I didn't have that in a previous relationship, and I was like, man, that's significant. However, that was my deal maker. And why I say that is because this is where this would be the exception to the rule of my wife. When I met her, she did not have that. But I was tracking, and this wasn't even something that I incepted her with or said, but I tracked that she sincerely really wanted that. She was craving that. And she was taking action to make that happen. Like when we first moved to Austin, it was so cool. I'm like still so proud of her in this regard. She was publicly like on her Instagram and Facebook saying, I want to find women friends. I've struggled with this throughout my life and I really want this. So like, I'm open for girl dates. Yeah. And so that was a deal maker, is that she has that. And if it's not there, then I'm just being mindful of like, okay, she doesn't have that deal maker, but how is she orienting to that? Trying to think of what would be another good example. I mean, red flag is ownership. And these, you can almost do these on each side, but just frame it differently. And that's why I think it's just a really good practice to sit with for a hot minute. I need to see her practice ownership of her personal experience, and be willing to apologize, to forgive, Her relationship with her family is something this was a deal maker for me. I recognized, man, my significant other's family of origin, that's a factor. That's not just something random that has nothing to do with her. On the one hand, it was not a deal breaker. Like, hey, if she doesn't have a relationship with her family, I want that, but like, I can overlook that.
Yeah.
To some degree, that may not be in her control, right? But an example would be my wife's dad was not in her life. He left when she was 2. She didn't have a relationship with him. And so there's, daddy issues, if you will. And those have been beautiful for our relationship, and they've also been very challenging. And so I think it's, again, if we're looking at this through the lens of this is the most important decision I'll make in my life, then treating it as such. Not overthinking it, though, and this is where I'll get to the good enough.
Okay, yeah, because I'm like...
Yes, I know. I don't want to harp on this too much, but it is important.
It is important.
And I think by the time you're, around 30, you're probably pretty clear on this stuff. But write it down and like take time to meditate on it and be with it so that you can see both sides of it as you're navigating relationship. Then from there, this is where the good enough comes into play. The grass is always greener. It's like, especially in this modern world, it's
at our fingertips.
It's at your fingertips.
Yeah.
There's always something better, someone better, a better city to live in, all these kind of better, like all the things. And man, I think that is such a detriment to society. And I had to navigate this with my wife. I knew this is my person. And I believe that many people could be my person. I believe that many people could be your person. So at the end of the day, it's just a choice. And in the good old days, they weren't all good, but there are some lessons to be gleaned from previous cultures and times. Arranged marriages. Like I've heard studies that there's a happiness factor there that is significant. Not condoning that or like recommending that we do that, but there's something there that is worth acknowledging and sitting with, where it's when you don't have a choice or you just make a choice because you've determined this is good enough. They're not perfect. Neither am I. Nothing's perfect, but I've lived enough life. They have qualities that I like, and they don't have any red flags that are just like deal breakers, like non-negotiables. Then at some point, I just have to make a decision and commit. And both parties have to do that in their own way.
Yeah.
So it's not to be confused with settling, right? So it's desperation, obligation kind of energy. That's not what we're going for here. It's acknowledging I'm a flawed human. There's flawed humans out there, and I could spend my entire life searching for that perfect person. And I might get into my 40s, 50s, 60s and beyond and never do it. And like I said earlier, every year after 30, especially for a man, it gets harder and harder to commit. Yeah.
I'm like, I've been going for these 50 plus.
Yeah. And again, that might be perfectly fine. Right. And I've actually heard, there's a point where it shifts the other way.
Yeah.
A 50-year-old man, and maybe he's already had a life, right? But he's starting a new season of his life. So again, I don't want to, just because these are my opinions and experiences.
No, I just think it's an interesting take, especially now. And then I'm curious, like how important do you think is like an aligned vision? Like either something, because I think I'm sitting with like, I would really like to co-create something with somebody in some capacity. Not just like the life that we design, but I don't know if that's like a book we write or some kind of shared mission or something like that. Can you speak to that a little bit? But I also see, I had someone else reframe it in my mind. I'll just give this as an example too, where she's like, I'm kind of like the kite in the relationship where I go and like am being seen. He's like my stable base that I return to. And he's like the behind the scenes support. I'm like, I love that reframe too, because I'd initially envisioned like, doing something collaboratively, but I also like the vision of being able to lean back and have that support too.
Yeah. And this is where I think it can truly go either way.
Yeah.
And also within my relationship so far, we've done a lot of those things. We've collaborated like early in our relationship and even, halfway into our relationship, and it was beautiful. And it was also really fucking challenging.
Yeah.
And it's not for the faint of heart. And it seems really great, and it can be really great, and it can be really challenging. And now we're coming back to a season of collaboration after living a lot of intense life, and it feels more integrated. It feels we're more sovereign and autonomous, so we can come together more whole. And the sum is greater than the whole of the parts. I always have to think about that before I say it. There's an exponential quality there. So I think those things matter, but I wouldn't put those in the deal maker, deal breaker category for me.
Yeah.
And so I think just sitting with that, like how important is that? Like what do I really need
Or like
to
what's
feel
underneath
fulfilled and
that?
happy? Yeah, exactly. What's
Yeah.
underneath that. And coming back to David Data and Way of Superior Man, he has an argument that resonates with me, where he basically says you will have one area of your life and your relationship together that's dialed in, that just is naturally works really well. It might be your sex life. It might be your sex life. Man, you just have a chemistry and a compatibility there that is pretty easy. You know, there's ups and downs and all arounds, but generally speaking, like you're pretty good there. It might be that as like life partners, as roommates, there's just like a category that'll be really, and so that might be like your anchor, or that might be something that's just like, oh yeah, we got this. Everything else is going to be work. And from there, it's choose your own adventure. There's a buffet of options. And spending a lifetime with someone, there's lots of possibilities there. There's lots of tinkering and experiments we can do.
Yeah, I like the idea. Someone called it like choosing wide versus choosing deep. He's like, there's beauty in all of it, but like the unfolding and experiences and how you grow and sharing that with an individual is like, I think, very touching. I'm gonna just take a little peek over here, see if like there's something else that I want to touch on. Or yeah, I'd kind of like to speak to faith. I feel like there's been a big transition from like the spiritual woo-woo-ness to more traditional Christianity faith. Is that something that has your relationship shifted with that over time? I know you said you grew up with your dad who has been like chaplain and in the prison ministry, which I have a soft spot in my heart for prison. So I think that's really admirable. Because I find myself navigating some of that right now, like leaning on scripture. I'm also a little bit of a mystic. So I'm like kind of finding my way through it,
Aren't
like,
we all?
Yeah. And I'm like, I grew up in, the Bible Belt. And I think I rebelled against some of that for a while. So like coming back a little more humbly in some ways. So I just wanted to give the space for that today too.
Super present for me.
Yeah.
Yeah, when we were going through our loss, my wife in particular, she was just brought to her knees.
Yeah.
Literally.
Fuck. Yeah.
And when she was there, Jesus was what came to her. And we had started going to a church here in Austin, Red Rocks, which is such an awesome spot. I just love what they're doing there. And that was the one place where she felt she just could be there and felt comfort, felt the presence of God. And so that was like our only social experience and just being out in the world. And so we'd been going here and there before that. And then we started going every week. And if nothing else, regardless of what you believe, a good church, you just leave feeling good.
Yeah.
And I think all too often, and I will put myself in this category, I can get caught up in the details of like, oh, wait, but like, what about that? There's a hole there. I don't know that I believe that. And it's like, okay, cool. I don't want to live life that way. It's not a way to live life that feels sustainable and fun and energizing and all that. So instead of focusing on what I don't want or I'm unsure of or what I don't believe, then let's orient to the feeling and presence of God in my body, in my heart, in my spirit, in my being. And no question, the presence of God is there. I can't speak to all churches and all, but like I feel it there. And I'm very fortunate that my wife grew up Catholic. And for a lot of, I don't have the personal experience there, but my understanding from a lot of people I know is that that's very rigid. There's not necessarily like a living experiential component that most people describe. And not to knock Catholicism, I think there's like a lot of beauty and history and tradition there. For me, I grew up, my dad that I talked about, my grandparents on my mom's side were pastors of a charismatic church in Orange County called Powerhouse. So like, getting slain in the spirit, speaking in tongues,
I was about to
holy
say,
laughter.
speaking in tongues. Okay,
oh,
yeah.
I still know my grandma's, like her speaking in tongues language. Ho la la ba, so la la ba. I can just like see her, rest in power grammar. And my papa was the preacher, the pastor of that church. And I lived with them for a couple years in high school. So I didn't have yeah, there was the rigidity and there was some like resentment, some of those things, but it was not something where I felt I don't demonize my heritage. And I never was at a point. I had some rebellion for sure, and just my own experience of orienting to that and coming back to that. And I'm very like grateful for my spiritual heritage. All that to say, I would say I'm a Christian. I still feel a little like claiming that feels kind of intense, because I know there's a lot of baggage there for me personally, and just in the cultural ethos and just the environment of that, what that can bring up in certain people. I get it. I can empathize with that. And yet that container, Jesus, his life's example, all of that just speaks to me. It's like something I can't explain and I don't understand it all. And I can have fun with not understanding, and I'll use some other labels to like create something that feels more aligned with me and my experience. Like I'll use mysticism, like you referenced, Gnosticism, like Gnosis, universalism. These are all kind of sects of Christianity, and I've thrown them together in a way that feels like it makes more sense to me and just feels right, good, and true to me. And at the end of the day, I don't fucking know, and nobody knows.
I know, we're all just giving it our best shot, right? I'm like, if someone says like, this is the way, I'm like, I'm a little suspicious.
Totally.
I love the reframe that you offered too of like, oh, what's missing? And like kind of having that like skeptical or cynic kind of mindset versus like, okay, well, what is this giving me? Or what kind of life is this giving me to have this faith or to rely upon it? Or I mean, even before now, before you got here, I was like sitting in the parking lot and I was like wrote out my little prayer. I know I've just really liked shifting that because it used to incite a lot of judgment or like that fear or fire and brimstone kind of element. But then I've had those moments where I'm like, it's just beautiful. And like coming back to Jesus and trying to let Jesus take the wheel. Although I told a friend of mine the other day, like sometimes it's peeling my fingertips off of the steering wheel. It was between what I think I want and
there's a revival,
showing
baby.
me how good it gets. Yes, there is. It's really cool to see and witness. I mean, like I've had friends from all across like I had one of my Jewish girlfriends on here not too long ago. She's like, I'm real turned on by Jesus right now, Kristin. I was like, I never thought, like, what? It's cool. And we've only got a couple minutes, so I'll let you like slide in if there's any offers or any way to connect with you that you want to drop.
Yes. I'm on Instagram. That's my main spot. Jordan Bowditch.
Slide into those DMs.
Slide into them, baby. I have a men's group called University of Man, and every last Tuesday of the month is an open call where just my guys can bring their friends. Anybody can join to get a little microdose taste of men's work.
Cool. You said it's last Tuesday?
It's the last Tuesday of every month.
Put that in the notes.
And then for my guys that are all in on it, it's a year-long experience, membership, and I do my man meet retreats, which that's my favorite thing ever. I use funny language. My friends call it Jordanese. You referenced it earlier in the conversation. I think
playfulness is so important.
Yes. Yeah. And it just...
Man meets. What is a man meet?
Yeah, exactly. We get fun comfortable. We explore what it looks and feels like to be in fun conditional connection. It's the oscillation of brain and body, heart and mind. And like one of the days we do Bro Olympics. So men competing and like that iron sharpens iron energy and playing and also like, hey, I'm trying to fucking win here kind of thing. And like the first place loser gets spanked by the winner. Some of my frat stuff is in there as well. So I call them a fun way that I like to describe it is my men's group is an adult for
conscious kink.
Yes, exactly. Yep. My men's group is a fraternity for adults. And my man meet retreats are conscious bachelor parties. And I found that for me, if the work isn't fun, it's not sustainable. And I think it can and must be fun. And so that's like my vibe. And my man meet retreat, I do them twice a year, one in the spring, one in the fall. The one in the fall is coming up here November 6th to 9th in Austin.
If they join now, could they go to that or how's it work?
There's like 2.5 spots left.
Oh, okay.
I was always curious. Squeeze another person in there. Yeah.
Okay, I was curious. Yeah, and I think that playfulness helps things stick a little more
it does.
easier. I don't know. I've seen, just seen a video or two or like a post about, if you recite something or practice something, it just can be kind of not stick as well as like if you say it with play, then it's more effective or lands easier. You'll recall it easier. So
I feel that.
And isn't there something about entering the kingdom and being playful or something like that?
Yes.
I think that's important.
If you don't have the spirit of a child,
Yes,
they're the
I
ones
couldn't
that
remember.
inherit the kingdom of God.
Thank you for helping my brain fog. It's been.
I think I butchered it too, so it's something like that.
I won't fact check this. I'll leave that to anyone else that listens. All right, thank you.
Thank you for having me. This is super fun.
Thank you.